Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is Bob Lancer. Bob is actually the author of 12 books. Let me tell you how much work that is. I published 8 books. 12 is a lot. And he is not only an author, he's also a teacher and healer and coach. Some of Bob's wonderful books include Lighten Up, The Soulmate Process, How to Use Kabbalah to Find the Love of Your Life, and the Kabbalah cards, a set of divination cards based on the Kabbalah. Welcome, Bob Lancer.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Now, Bob Lancer, what exactly is the Kabbalah?
Kabbalah represents the underlying spiritual principles, the spiritual wisdom that you find at the core of all religious and spiritual traditions. The form of the Kabbalah is presented through an ancient Jewish mystical teaching, but it's essentially the stream of universal wisdom, mystical wisdom that is at the core of all spiritual traditions. It's all about how to unite with the divine.
So we don't have to be Jewish. We can be literally any religious background and really get a lot out of studying the Kabbalah, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't require any particular belief system. All it requires is an open mind and willingness to go deep inside yourself to recognize that what you really are looking for in life is this sense of deep connection with the source of all being that is deep within you. And so that's how Kabbalah is actually healing, because what we understand is all physical problems, whether it's health-related, financial, relationship, career, it all comes down to a disconnect or misalignment with that core of perfect peace that is at the center of your being. So Kabbalah is a way of reconnecting with that source, realigning with that source to experience joy, harmony, and profound inner peace, which in and of itself manifests harmonious, orderly, beautiful conditions in your life.
You know, I just want to affirm what you're talking about, because when I do my medical intuitive readings, I sort of read 5 levels. The physical body, we all know what that is. The energy system, which includes your chakras, your acupuncture system, and the breath. Your emotions, which is the largest part of us. Your mind, which is your thoughts and your beliefs. And your spirit. Now, each of these, if you think about this level, as you know, Bob, your soul is you are a soul who has a body, and your soul controls your mind controls your emotions control your energy system, and your energy system controls your physical. So what you're talking about is using Kabbalah to help us heal. These spiritual principles is actually quite true.
Mm-hmm. It's 100% practical.
Yeah, because when we do healing work at the soul level, you're literally affecting everything. You're affecting your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your emotional process, your energy, and then that filters down into the physical.
Yeah, that's the cause level.
So can you give us some examples of clients that you worked with who have experienced profound healing as a result of working with some of the principles of Kabbalah?
Well, yeah. I mean, people primarily come to me with issues relating to financial challenges and relationship challenges. Occasionally, I'll get someone who's dealing with a health issue, but typically, those are the areas in life where people feel the most frustrated, because that's where we've been conditioned by society to believe that our dependency lies. We think that our sense of security, freedom, happiness, and fulfillment comes from money, or we think that our sense of security, safety, self-worth, and fulfillment comes from having another person provide us with those internal experiences. And so the only reason why those external, quote unquote, conditions are not consistent with what we really believe or feel deep inside our true destiny should be, the only reason those are out of alignment is because we're not connecting with the source within. What is the source within? The source is the deepest place of profound inner peace within you. And when you learn how to go into that space, what happens is you open all the channels of abundance, and your life starts to automatically, miraculously, by grace, form into the destiny that you know is absolutely right for you. You're living the life you belong in. You feel that sense of belonging in the life you're living. So those are the two basic areas that people come with: issues relating to abundance, issues related to relationships, also sometimes issues relating to career and purpose.
Yeah. So basically what you're talking about is getting out of lack consciousness, whether it's lack of money or lack of available partners, and connecting to this oneness.
Right. Exactly. Once you're in that place, deep down inside, there are no problems. There's no sense of lack. There's no sense of anything going wrong. You're completely content, relaxed, and secure in the present moment. Now, we've been conditioned to believe that the only way we can go into that place is by getting external conditions lined up in a certain way. That's a futile effort. What we find is when we go into that place, as we learn, and I use the Kabbalah and a process called the method to get people into that space. Once you're living from that space of complete contentment, everything manifests consistent with it. But it's a challenge because our attachment to the belief that our well-being depends upon external situations has been programmed into us from early childhood. It's a deep, and it's been reaffirmed constantly by society's programming. So this is why only a relatively few individuals are ready to take the leap from dependency on the outer to dependency on the inner. You've got to go through so much disappointment, so much loss, so much frustration until you recognize the absolute futility of depending on external circumstances for your internal peace, that you're finally willing to give up, surrender, and say, okay, just show me the way and I'll follow it. And the way is so simple and it's so beautiful. It's just how to be happy all the time. The universe is perfect. If you're not having fun in the present moment, you're not doing it right.
I just really love your definition of happiness, because so many of us, it's like when the outside is okay, then I'll be happy, rather than, getting right with yourself, right?
That's the source of disease. That's the source of all the problems. Making other people responsible for our happiness, giving power to money, like thinking, well, I need to have a certain amount of money, or I need to be out of debt, or I need to, be able to buy this or buy that whenever I want in order to be happy. That never works. And no matter how happy people appear who have a lot of stuff, if they are happy in any genuine way, it's because they are completely unattached to their stuff.
I don't know. I kind of like my orchids.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, because that's the source of suffering. Because whether you have an orchid or you don't have an orchid, you have the capacity to experience all the beauty, joy, and love you could possibly desire.
Now, Bob Lancer, Kabbalah teacher and author of 12 books, how do you feel that Kabbalah can help us to find and follow our true purpose?
Well, one of the Kabbalah tree of life, and I'll see if I can hold it up. I don't know if you can get an image of it. That's the Kabbalah tree of life.
And can you describe it for our radio listeners?
Okay, so we're looking at a diagram, basically, a vertical diagram with 10 circles on it in descending order. That's to make it simple. The top circle represents divine will. So divine will is in charge. In Kabbalah, it's called the crown. Okay, so divine will is in charge. So what we think is what we're here is to find out what we want. But what we're really here is to find out what is wanted of us.
Oh, I just love that. So that's another way of putting it, is finding our soul purpose, right?
It's exactly the right thing. Exactly. You have a destiny, and your destiny is perfect. It's perfectly designed for your absolute fulfillment. God is love. So it's absolutely designed perfectly. What you want to do is free yourself, or anyone. What we want to do is free ourselves from our attachments, our preferences, in order to become a clear channel to receive that highest level of inner guidance that tells us what is meant to happen, what we are meant to do, what is the perfect thing for us to do in the present moment. And as you free yourself from the emotional reaction patterns you have, the personal value systems, limiting beliefs, you start to receive that true GPS of the divine intent for you. And then you follow that and find that everything works out beautifully. So that's one of the ways that Kabbalah helps us, is as we understand what the tree of life, this is called the Kabbalah tree of life, the pattern, which the first top sphere is the crown, is will. As we meditate on that, we become clear about the difference between what do I like personally, what do I want personally, and then when I surrender that, because as the Buddha taught, that's the source of all suffering. As I surrender to this deeper purpose within me, then I find that I'm guided perfectly in all situations.
And, you know, I really appreciate you mentioning Buddhism because, again, Buddhism, of course, talks about attachments. And in the Christian tradition, we say, thy will, not my will be done, right?
Exactly. That's what Jesus is talking about when he says, you know, you have to, if you want, you have to let go of all your attachments and follow me. And me is the true I am within you.
Yeah. And, you know, Bob Lancer, I always feel, you know, the most powerful healing we can ever do is let go and let God. And so many times people have I never forget, years ago, this woman came to me and she was trying to overcome depression. And I started working with her, and then she put the brakes on it. She's like, but I want to be able to tell my clients that I overcome my entire depression with breath work. And I said to her, I said, well, there's no doubt that breath work is incredibly powerful. And I'm a big believer in pranayama and breath work. But when we truly let go and allow the divine to work through us, then miracles can happen, right?
Yeah, the challenge is, though, that the attachment to outcomes is so deep, and people actually go through literal panic and terror when what they believe to be the source of their happiness seems unattainable. So that's why if someone's going through a very painful, let's say, romantic relationship breakup, the pain is not based on reality. The pain is based on projecting your belief that that person is your source for love, for self-worth, for happiness in life. And so the challenge is coming to meet those fears that you have, because all fear is based on attachment. It's all based on illusion. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. Your life is in perfect hands. Everything's going to work out perfectly. It doesn't matter what happens. You're going to be better and better and better. You're going to continue to grow. Your life is destined for divine greatness. But the fears that you have, those have to be met and dissolved, because those are your resistances to the universe, to the cosmic process, to the process that you are here to grow through, the divine self-creation process.
Now, author Bob Lancer, how do you feel that Kabbalah can help us to find and follow our true purpose?
Well, because the first step is clearing away all the false purposes that we believe we have. So the second sphere, and I'll hold up the card again, the second sphere on the tree of life, which is this one, is named wisdom. So in order for you to find your purpose, you need to be guided by wisdom. Now, that means you're not guided by your automatic desires, you're not guided by your emotional reactions, and you're not controlled by your automatic habitual thinking. All of that, like it says in the Bible, be still to know I am God. All of that has to be still, and then you can follow the guidance of true wisdom, which always comes as a feeling. It's a feeling of rightness. When you're feeling really good, harmonious, balanced, at peace, content, fulfilled inside, that's because you're living true to who you really are. When you're living true to who you are, you're on your path. So all these emotional reactions that we have, they're deeply programmed. So much of the work that I do is guiding people through processes to release them from attachment to those programs, to allow their true self to emerge. The programs are all what we call the false self. That's the personality you come to believe you are. The true self is completely free of attachment and resistance to what is.
I just really, really appreciate your wisdom on this. And I agree. Now, earlier you were talking about the method. What is
Yes.
the method?
The method is a process. Now, most of the work that I do, about 90% of the work I do is over the phone. I do spiritual growth coaching over the phone. And the method is a process that I guide people through over the phone. And you can also learn how to do it yourself. I can give you the website for that. But it's a guided meditation process that gets you in touch with your deepest feelings where there's pain or attachment. And then it's a step-by-step process of guiding you through the release of that. And as you release your energy from those pain patterns, because all of your pain, all of your emotional pain is using your energy in order to be there. And so we use the method to take your energy out of that pain pattern. And when you do that, you naturally experience tremendous bliss, tremendous joy. Now, joy is the true currency. What that means is the more joyful you are, the more money you're going to have, the more loving relationships you're going to have, the more wonderful opportunities, the more harmonious your living conditions. Joy is the true magic that produces all the miracles in your life.
I just couldn't agree more. And what is the website where our audience can learn more about the method?
Lovethemethod.com.
Love,
Yeah.
love,
LOVETHEMETHOD.com. Lovethemethod.com.
right. And also, I need to give our audience your website, which is KabbalahWisdomPower.com.
Yeah,
So,
those are both my websites.
yes. So lovethemethod.com and KabbalahWisdomPower.com is going to allow us to learn more about this very powerful information. So in a nutshell, what you're talking about is getting people out of the past and
Correct.
and old programming, right?
Correct. Exactly. Getting us out of the past. And sometimes those past, who knows, they can involve past lifetimes that we bring, patterns that we bring forward. So the method is a process that just goes deeper and deeper because human beings have an infinite capacity for joy. And the only thing that's keeping us from joy is something we're doing inside to resist it. You say, well, why would I resist joy? Well, you resist joy because you're afraid of being vulnerable. You're afraid of being disappointed because you've been programmed with the belief that you got to work really, really hard and sacrifice what you really love in order to be responsible, right? So people are resisting joy. Anytime you're anything but joyful, it's because you're resisting it. And through the method and through Kabbalah, we actually become so deeply self-aware that we can see the mechanism. We can actually be aware of how we're resisting joy in the present moment. And when you're aware of how you're causing yourself pain, you stop. If you're not aware of how you're causing the pain, you're just aware of the pain, you automatically project the cause outside you. And you think you've got to get the outside world to stop, which is futile.
You know, you're bringing up a lot of what I talked about in my 8th book, which is called The Difference Between Pain and Suffering. And years ago, you know, I'm like you, I do all my work through guidance, through spiritual guidance. And my guidance told me to write a little article called The Difference Between Pain and Suffering. Well, anyway, I jotted off this article in about 30 minutes. And then what I noticed was literally every day of my life, somebody read that article. And I thought, wow, people really are wanting to understand what's the difference between pain and suffering. And as they say, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So it's this attachment to our old emotional programming that literally keeps us in this pattern of feeling awful. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And when I found the method, I really felt like I found the missing key because I understood that suffering was optional, but I was still compelled to go into it. I went through a very, very painful divorce. And I found that, you know, I've been a spiritual teacher my entire adult life. This is all I've ever done since the age of 21. And, but I found that nothing helped me when I was going through that divorce. My ego was completely shattered. I was depressed. I was hopeless. I was in terror, panic. I was completely blown away by it. You know, I had 2 kids involved with it. And I knew that suffering was optional, but it wasn't optional. I was compelled to go through it When I found the method, I found that within 10 minutes, and it works within 10 to 15 minutes, I was able to completely go into peace and bliss and joy and love and safety in a matter of 10 minutes. Now, that doesn't last. You have to continue to do your work to go deeper and deeper and release more and more so that it becomes more and more consistent. But when I found the method, I knew, okay, this is it. I've got to share this with the world. This is unbelievable. It actually works. It enables us to actually live the wisdom path, to release any blocks you have to joy, love, and abundance in any area of your life. And it works every time. So when I do sessions over the phone, the first session is complimentary. Just because I want everybody to be able to experience this.
Now, Bob Lancer, what's the difference between the Kabbalah and the method?
They work beautifully together. The Kabbalah gives us a framework of understanding the difference between the lower self and the higher self and how to integrate the two. The method is the means for making that integration possible. So Kabbalah gives us this beautiful cosmic framework of understanding ourselves, our divine nature, the laws that rule the universe. The method frees us from those automatic past patterns that prevent us from flowing with the universe.
Now, how can we use Kabbalah to manifest our true desires?
Well, the first thing is you have to find out what your true desire is. And your true desire is not your superficial desire, right? Your true desire is to experience profound inner peace, fulfillment, and freedom right now. That's your true desire. Your true desire is not to get more money, it's not to get famous, it's not to write a book, it's not to find a lover. Your true desire is to be completely fulfilled, at peace, content, in joy, in love, in overwhelming gratitude right now. That's your true desire. And as you work from that true desire, as you accept that, and you start recognizing the only thing that can keep me out of that desire is my own internal reactions and thoughts. And as I release my energy from manifesting those internal states, because we manifest internal states with our energy, as we release our energy from manifesting those internal states, the external world opens up, and every moment is an experience of true purpose.
You know, I can really appreciate what you're saying, Bob Lancer. This is very much like the work of Esther Hicks, because she talks about when you want to change the outside, you have to go inside first and becoming internally congruent.
And there's one place where I have a contrast with her work. If you want to change the outside, you've got a problem because there's nothing wrong with the outside, okay? The only thing that's going on is how you're judging the outside.
Yeah,
so external. I love what she says about getting into your joy, but if you're there to try to manipulate the outer world in any way, you've got a problem. Yeah. Because there's nothing going wrong in the outer world. It's all in your mind that there's anything going wrong. Now, that doesn't seem obvious to most people, but as you pay more attention to your thoughts, you'll discover all of your problems are in your head. And when you stop thinking, you're problem free.
Yeah, and this is very much the message also of A Course in Miracles, that there's nothing out there. It's right. All in here.
All in here. If any problem you have, in order for you to feel frustrated with it, you've got to think about it. So the real problem is that we've been taught to believe we've got to figure stuff out. You don't have to figure anything out. It's all been figured out. The universe is a perfect system. Just trust, let go, and free yourself from the fearful resistance to whatever is, and you discover perfection. And you live in the perfection of everything and everyone. There's absolutely nothing going wrong. You have nothing to be concerned about. You can live in your absolute joy right now, and guess what? That's all you really want. You don't have to get the money to feel secure, but when you feel secure, the money shows up.
Right. Now, Bob Lancer, how can Kabbalah help us to awaken from the world of illusion, where we are in this suffering pattern, into the real world of perfection and joy?
Well, let's go back to the Tree of Life diagram, which is a picture of 10 circles called spheres. And the bottom circle on the tree, it's like a hierarchical system. The bottom of the 10, number 10, is the world of manifestation. And so we manifest whatever's going on inside of us. Whatever's going on in your outer world is a reflection of what's going on in your inner world. So as you align with the divine will, your outer world becomes perfect. So how do you align with divine will? You drop any thought you have of anything going wrong. You recognize that any judgment you have that causes you to feel that what's happening is less than perfect, you work on freeing yourself from that judgment. Now you become a conduit for divine will to manifest the kingdom of heaven on earth. As we do this individually, it starts to happen globally. We're all responsible for the state of the global conditions in our world. If you judge those global conditions as wrong, now you're living in reaction. You're going back to the past. But if you free yourself to be a conduit through which divine will functions, not only are you fulfilled, but the world starts manifesting the kingdom of heaven in all areas. This is the destiny of the human race.
You know, and again, I appreciate what you're saying, because many of us who do energy healing, such as Reiki, for example, what we're literally doing is channeling healing energy. Right. And I interviewed another lady this week, and she said, well, I complimented her. I said, you're a wonderful healer. And she said, correction, I'm not really a healer, because all I'm doing is letting the energy flow through me.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. In all the work that I do with my clients, or even right now, all I'm doing is growing spiritually with them. I'm following my own internal guidance, recognizing what's going on inside of me, and constantly opening up to more joy.
Right.
That's the basic purpose of your life, is to open up to more joy, moment by moment, and to clear out anything inside of you that's preventing your joy, that's limiting your fulfillment.
This is very profound and also very helpful, because we get confused about what it is that we're here to do.
That's right. You're not here to do anything but what you love. You were designed with certain gifts, talents, interests at a very deep level, things you're naturally good at, naturally gifted in. When you devote your life to the development and fulfillment of the talents, the natural gifts that you have that you love exploring, as you devote your life to that, you are fulfilling your purpose on earth, and you will attract to you other people who are devoted to their gifts and talents that complement you, so that you can work together in a mutually supportive relationship. Your whole life is all about loving every moment, having nothing but fun, being in total joy, total inspiration. Here, you and I are working, but you and I are having like the time of our lives right now.
Yeah. You know, you remind me of one of my favorite poems. It's by T.S. Eliot, called Little Gidding. And in Little Gidding, the poem, T.S. Eliot writes, "You're not here to verify, instruct yourself, or inform curiosity, or carry report. You are here to kneel where prayer has been valid. And prayer is more than an order of words, the conscious occupation of the praying mind, or the sound of the voice praying." And what I feel that T.S. Eliot is really talking about is being in this feeling of gratitude, being in this feeling of reverence, like, wow, I made it. I'm alive. I'm in this beautiful place called Earth.
And so many people wake up every morning and say, oh, what a burden, right? They don't live in that. I was recently working with my 9-year-old. I have 2 kids, a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old. And he was complaining about stuff. And he was getting more and more unhappy. And I said, Aaron, I want you to notice something. The only thing that's making you unhappy is what you're focusing on. So I asked him to list 10 things that he's grateful for. And as soon as he did, he couldn't stop smiling. So your happiness is not about what's going on in your life. It's about what you're focusing on. If you look for what's going right, you'll find it. But again, there are times when we're so gripped by the darkness, by the dark, unconscious patterns of suffering within us, that we need some way of releasing our energy from them in order to apply this wisdom. And that's where the method comes in. That's where Kabbalah comes in. These are powerful, powerful tools for transforming our lives by releasing our energy from manifesting the internal states that are preventing us from happiness. Manifestation is not about trying to manifest a new house. It's stop manifesting unhappiness.
I love that. I tell my clients the angelic is here, the demonic is here, and it's really all about what you focus on. And on my website, CatherineCarrigan.com, I have countless photographs that I've taken with my iPhone of actual angels. And I tell people that, and they're like, whatever. And they go, look, it's like, oh my God, there's an angel. But it's like, what are the bottom line is, what are we focusing on, right? And
if you want to see an angel, just look in the mirror. Because we are, that's one of the steps in the method is to practice feeling a sense of your own preciousness, learning to relate to yourself on a feeling level that you are sacred, that you are angelic, that you are precious, to actually feel that towards yourself. And when you feel that towards yourself, you start noticing other people treating you with value. If other people are being dismissive or not seeming to recognize your value, that's an external reflection of your need to learn how to value yourself more, unconditionally. And through the method, we develop the actual spiritual musculature to stay in that state of absolute treasuring of this sacred, unique being that you are. And when you learn to feel that towards yourself, there's tremendous healing and tremendous abundance starts to open up in your life, because abundance is one of the ways people demonstrate that they value you.
Right. And, I also feel that when we really value ourselves, we take better care of our bodies. That's when we exercise regularly and eat well and, don't work too hard and make time for the joy in our life. And that's when healing happens, right?
The purpose of time is joy, right? So so each and every moment you have to trust joy. Now, most people are real masters at how to live a miserable life, right? You worry, you hurry, you stress out, you push, you complain, you get all stressed, all overwhelmed. We're great at doing that. Now it's about, you've trusted that and you realize it's unsustainable, it's a terrible way to live. Now, are you really willing to trust happiness? And most people say, well, in theory, that sounds great, but let's get into the real world. It's not going to work. Well, if you're operating from that belief system, you're lost.
Yeah. Now, Bob Lancer, I know one of your books is about how Kabbalah can help us to find our soulmate.
Yes.
What are some of the basic principles that we can all learn about this?
Okay, so we'll just go back to the Tree of Life again. And the central sphere on the Tree of Life diagram is called beauty. It represents the beauty, the balance, and the harmony that is always present. Okay, so in reality, the universe is a perfect system. But when we're out of balance, we're not aligned with the way the universe is working. So as you practice experiencing in the moment unconditionally, harmony, beauty, and balance, everything comes together in your life. And you find that as you follow that true path of harmony, beauty, and balance, that feeling state, you naturally find a mate who will come to you whose harmony connects with your harmony. And so as you both live in this harmonious place, you find you're naturally connecting together. It's an automatic, inevitable process.
Yeah. And, I appreciate what you're saying, because you're talking about if we want to attract someone with whom we can have a healthy relationship, we've got to come into harmony with our true selves first. Absolutely.
When you truly are following a path of harmony and integrity, that means you're being true to yourself. You're not coming from insecurity. You're not depending on anything outside of you to give you the inner state you're looking for. Then when you do, you will find someone and you'll both be guided by wisdom rather than by insecurity. And that produces a beautiful relationship. There's your soulmate relationship formula.
Now, how does Kabbalah guide us for creating positive, healthy relationships, not just with the opposite sex, but with everybody around us?
Again, we go back into that place of harmony. We go back into that centered place of peace and balance and harmony and love. So one of the other spheres on the Kabbalah Tree of Life is sphere 9. That's called the foundation. Okay? So as you establish yourself on a firm basis in that harmony and love, in that peace and harmony and love, automatically you're going to be in harmony with whoever you're working with. There's not going to be conflict. You're not going to be working against that other person. And all of our relationships are reflections of our relationship with ourselves. So as you're established stably in harmony with yourself, so no matter what the other person is doing, you're not going into reactivity. You're fine. You're setting them free. What happens is people who are unconscious are either going to grow with you or go from you.
Now, what is the real blockage to abundance? And how can Kabbalah and the method release the flow of greater abundance in our lives?
Okay, so we'll look at another sphere in the Kabbalah tree of life, another circle. We'll look at number 7. Number 7 represents victory. So victory is guaranteed when you're following divine will. It's guaranteed. Victory in all situations in your life is guaranteed. So if you're reacting to lack, if you feel a sense of lack, if you feel a sense of loss, if you feel a sense of scarcity and you're starting to worry about that, instead of working on trying to get more money, you work on freeing yourself from that inner state. As you free yourself from that inner state, you follow divine will into victory in that particular area.
Now the language that you're speaking is also very similar to people who talk about the law of attraction.
Well, I actually call it, I need to stand up for a second. I hope it won't do too much distraction. But I really call it the law of reflection, because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, right? And so, yes, you will attract to you people and circumstances that are consistent with how you feel. But what really is taking place is the way you feel inside produces external reflections of what's going on there. So that's why the more you love yourself, the more you're going to find people loving you.
Now, here at the Natural Healing Show, many in our audience are already engaging in processes to de-stress and find the center, whether it's a regular meditation practice or yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, or some other practices where we just center ourselves and release so that we can get into the moment. Are there any particular natural healing methods that you recommend to complement this method, this philosophical outlook?
Well, the method is really not philosophical. I call it the method because it is a method. It is a means. It is a way of going inside and getting in touch with how you feel. So the simplest way that I can say is to give yourself time every day to experience your inner pain. Just just go into your heart and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling without resistance, no matter how much it hurts. That is a way of loving yourself, because you're showing true compassion towards yourself. You're willing to acknowledge your feelings.
You know, I just so appreciate what you're saying, because so many people run from pain or they self-medicate for pain, and they're taking drugs, legal or illegal, rather than just sitting down and feeling how they feel. And I always tell my clients, I'll say, you know, you're free from your addiction when you can sit there and get mad, have a panic attack, or feel depressed and not need to eat, drink, smoke, take a drug. You're just letting yourself feel the feeling and know that it's just an energy that will pass.
Not only that, it's a gift. See, because when you use the method, the more pain that you are allowing yourself to experience, the more energy you can release from producing that pattern. And as soon as you release the pain, the energy from the pain pattern, that energy turns into the natural state of joy and bliss that you're looking for. So I work with lots of people who deal with addictions. And when you allow yourself to just experience the urge, experience the feeling of addiction without trying to extinguish it, it naturally turns into bliss and joy and peace and liberation from that addiction. I'm high all the time. I don't drink, I don't take drugs, but I'm getting more and more high every single day because I'm consistently using the method to release more joy. I face how I feel, I allow myself to experience it, and I move through the other steps of the method until I'm experiencing that sense of my own sacredness. And then I go into the state of complete abundance and then total surrender with absolute trust in the divine.
Now, this is very powerful work that you're doing, Bob Lancer.
Yes.
How does Kabbalah differentiate between the true self and the false self? And why is understanding this difference so important?
The false self is the self that is needy. The true self has no needs. When you get in touch with the true self and you experience the sense of complete fulfillment in the present moment that's unconditional, the conditions in your life manifest consistently with your fulfillment. So anytime you're feeling incomplete, anytime you're feeling a sense of complaint, dissatisfaction, a lack of total contentment, that is your encounter with the false self. The false self is unhappy, the true self is happy. It's real simple. And when you're living in your happiness, you're fulfilling your purpose, you're doing what you're here for, you're helping everybody else to be happy, and your life will manifest perfectly. Again, I just want to repeat, when it comes to manifestation, what we want to do is we want to stop manifesting the internal states that rob us of our joy. As you use the manifestation process that way, you really got the key.
I think you're talking about extremely deep work.
Yes.
And how can we know when we're actually on our spiritual path? How can we know when we're following our soul purpose?
Because you're experiencing more joy, and you're releasing your resistance to fear, to pain, to suffering. You're releasing your resistance, and you're experiencing more joy. You know, when people come to work with me, I always tell them, I said, if you feel deep down inside a sense of attraction to the work that I'm doing, if you can feel the energy coming over the phone, if you feel this sense of, yes, this is what I'm meant to do, then work with me, because we're meant to work together. And so that's how you follow the spiritual path. You just know it's that sense of, this is meant to be, and this is the opportunity that I have to take that leap into the path of true joy, true fulfillment, true happiness, true love, true gratitude. So that remember, every moment, everything you go through is supposed to be fun. If you got a problem, the best way to solve the problem is make it fun. Have fun with the problem.
I like that advice. Now, Bob Lancer, many people, in addition to yourself, have written and taught about the mystical path of the Kabbalah. How ancient is this tradition?
Well, you know, it goes back beyond history into legend. It's taught that it basically was the spiritual wisdom that the angels taught to Adam in the Garden of Eden, because what it represents the path to God that is at the core, the root of all religions, of all spiritual traditions. The essential process of the Kabbalah is all about the human being melding with the divine being until the two are one. This is ultimately what we want. You can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it your soul, but there's something deep down inside that it's holy, it's pure holiness that you want to experience and feed upon all the time. You want that spiritual nurturing. As you simply open your heart to that nurturing, you start finding what's called the divine presence. And that's what all religion is all about. It's all about how to manifest the divine on earth.
Now,
that's human potential.
So what are some of the first books written about the Kabbalah, and who were some of the original authors?
I think the earliest book that we have on the Kabbalah is a book called the Book of Formation. And I think that was supposedly written around the 1st century. It's a fascinating book because it talks about how God creates God, how God creates the universe. Then the next major work came out around the 12th or 13th century, and that's called the Book of Formation, or the Book of Splendor. The Hebrew names is, the first one is the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Yetzirah. The next one is the Book of the Sefer Zohar. And that is a fascinating book where it goes into all the dimensions of the spiritual worlds and interprets the Hebrew Bible for its mystical meanings. to get to the core of spirituality. So those are the two main texts of Kabbalah. But there have been countless books about it. There's all sorts of versions and approaches. I was taught it I had a teacher when I was in my early 20s. And what's unique about my work is it takes it and makes it extremely practical. It's a way of integrating it into our daily lives in order to function with higher consciousness. And that's what my Kabbalah cards are about, where you use these based on the tree of life, and you basically tune into these higher levels of consciousness through the cards to get guidance and insight.
So Bob Lancer, you've published 12 books. That's amazing. And people can find out about your work at KabbalahWisdomPower.com. And what was the other website again?
LoveTheMethod.com.
So Bob Lancer, any final thoughts for our audience?
Yes, absolutely. Right now, be happy, relax. There's nothing going wrong. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't become more effective by stressing yourself out. If you're really ready to find happiness and peace, it's time to just trust the universe, quiet the mind, stop imagining things going wrong, recognize that all emotional reactions that stress you out is an emotional problem. It's not an external problem. Just practice going into the deepest peace you can and trusting the path that feels the most joyful.
This is Catherine Carrigan. You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm a medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. Find out more about me and my work at CatherineCarrigan.com and UnlimitedEnergyNow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how to heal yourself naturally. And remember, when you find the peace within, natural healing follows. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.